Okay, I'm here with Norman Moore, who is a rare photograph collector and photo analyst on a lot of stuff, historian. And Norman, you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what's in the book here.
Hi, I'm Norman Moore. I've been a collector of Old West items for 69 of my 76 years and a dealer in antiques. And I have discovered some photographs of Butch Cassidy and the gang and written a book about them. The title name of the book is The Butch Cassidy and Gang Old West Photograph Finds of the Century. My photograph proves that Butch Cassidy and 6 members of the gang knew each other 10 to 14 years before previously known. I also have in my book a postcard that belongs to a friend of mine by the name of Eric Bauman. Eric Bauman's photograph proves that Butch Cassidy did not die in South America. The United States Post Office did not have a divided back on postcards until March of 1907 with an address placed on one side and a message on the other. And this date on the postcard, on the date stamp, looks like December 6th of 1900, but the ink is blurred and it's actually 1908 or 1909, December 6th, which is after this alleged death of Butch Cassidy in November of 1907. This is the absolute proof Butch Cassidy did not die. In South America, my photographs in this book that I have discovered are the earliest known photographs of Butch Cassidy and his gang. I hope that you will be interested in obtaining this new information.
And this is a book that you've published, and I'm going to buy a copy of it. But it's also a book you've published. There's other copies available with all the same pictures and everything in it.
Yes, and it's available through Amazon.
Through Amazon, okay. I'll put a link in the video description. Now, the significance of Butch Cassidy, forgive me for not being as much of a historian on this as you are, but now we're talking about post-Civil War West, but these guys, you said, were not a group of Civil War veterans. It was issues that came along after that.
That's correct. The Butch Cassidy was born in April 1866 in Beaver, Utah, and the Sundance Kid was also born in 1866. And the famous Wild Bunch photograph on the back of my book was taken by John Schwartz in 1900.
Okay. My
photograph on the front of the book was taken between 1885 and 1890.
Showing that they were all associated with each other for a long time before they did the whole bank robbing thing and whatever else they were involved with. Now, were these guys involved in anything that was relatively political, or were they just mainly robbing banks for profit?
They were just bank robbers, train robbers, and famous for it, and notorious for it, and probably the most successful gang of bank robbers, certainly the most famous of all of them of their eras.
But although these guys would predate John Dillinger and his gangs, but John Dillinger wasn't as long-term successful as these guys were as far as bank robbers go, right?
That is correct. These guys operated for quite a few years, and there is another famous book out by the name of Butch Cassidy, The Untold Story, by Carrie Ross Boren. Carrie's book, he spent over 50 years writing and researching it, and he proves shows in his stories that many people saw Butch Cassidy, or else the relatives of people who saw them. He documents it. And I was so impressed with his book and his information and knowledge, I dedicate my book to Kerry Ross Bourne.
So where do you think he ended up if it wasn't the South America side of the story or whatever other, where did he end up then?
He ended up in Utah, and I believe died in Utah as an old man.
Okay, very well. Well, I'm going to get a copy of the book, and I'm going to forward a copy of this video to some producers out of Colorado, and hopefully they'll be in contact with you, and I'll be in contact with you. I'll get your number as soon as I turn the video off. I think this will be an interesting subject, a further study for another documentary.